to welcome everyone to another edition of the Commodore Corner Update. I hope that this edition finds everyone well. As everyone knows, we always start with good things, and there are a lot of good things happening when the weather has broken and when the springtime has come. There's a lot of new things that are ahead, and we are off to a great start. First off, our lacrosse team, our vaunted Harlem lacrosse program, is off to a great start. They have both our boys team and our girls team. They both are off to a strong start with their season with multiple wins. We look forward to sharing that information in the future in terms of updates on how they're doing. Our debate team just had another meet. Several of our students at all levels, both elementary school and middle school, came up with both team awards and individual awards. So I want to shout out those students as well as Coach Mason. Additionally, our NAL team, led by Coach Ariosa, they made the Final Four. Unfortunately, we lost in the semifinals, but this is an excellent achievement for our school, as this is an academic competition, and our middle schoolers made us proud, making it through the playoffs and making it all the way to the Final Four. And then last but not least, we have a new club for our elementary students, specifically our elementary girls in grades first grade and up. And that's our Girls on the Run Club, which is sponsored by Coach Willett and Coach Sessa, and gets a lot of support from other staff members. They are on their way to completing a 5K run. They actually just did their first trial run, a practice, where they ran around the square block of Commodore, passing through Chester, Fairmount, Washington, and Fayette. And they did an unbelievable job. I really welcome you all coming to see our young girls showing healthy habits as they stride through the community and through the neighborhood as they continue to get fit, and we look forward to seeing what the 5K brings in a couple of weeks. As you know, after good things, generally there is a message that I like to share with our community. This message is a tough one. What I want to address with our families, you know, I'm always pushing this idea of Commodore to college. I'm always pushing this idea of growth and progress. In recent weeks, our job has really been much harder, and it has nothing to do with our students' ability to read, write, or do arithmetic, work on science projects, do other activities. It has to do with distractions. And I know that this is a tricky subject for a lot of families because it's important that we teach the appropriate use of devices, but this all revolves around technology. I'm talking about cell phones and smartphones. I'm talking about laptops and tablets that are used at home. I'm talking about the use of social media, whether we're talking about, I have to look down because it's not something that I do very often, but I'm talking about YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Kik, TikTok. Quite honestly, I haven't heard of half of these things, but our students have, and that's really my point here. I understand that our world is changing and that our students have better access to things like phones and smart devices and the internet and all the great things that has to offer. I think one of the things that we have to acknowledge is we have to do a better job working together as a school community regarding the responsible use of those items. So the first thing I'm going to do is very simple. I want to make sure that the policy is clear. Our policy is based on school board policy from the Baltimore City Public School District. These policies have been shared by me in multiple formats, whether it's through a Commodore Corner update like this one, or it's through letters and emails, and text messages, and all the things that Mr. Glenwick does in spreading the word. Policy is simple. Students can carry phones, but they should neither be seen or heard. What that means is that cell phones shouldn't be actively used in the school. There's no reason for them to be using those in the school building. It distracts from students learning inside of the classroom. So whenever we talk to a student, it's not empty out your pockets. We allow our students to carry them. When we talk about phones not being seen or heard, that means that they're not out of their pockets or out of a fanny pack or a bag or a jacket. They should be held safely by students, but they shouldn't be seen. If they're seen, for us, that indicates that they're distracted and they're on it, or they're showing someone something, and it's very hard to control content in terms of what they're showing. So that's why they shouldn't be seen. In terms of heard, it's a distraction. If ringers are on, if alerts are on, if music is on. So again, they should neither be seen or heard. Very simple. If they're seen or heard and we've given a warning, then phones will get confiscated by staff members. They'll be held up safely, and they'll be returned at the end of the school day. That goes for any device. We're talking about cell phones and smartphones. We're talking about tablets. We're talking about headphones. We're even talking about some game systems. I know some students have a Nintendo Switch. Again, all of those items should not be in the school building. And if they are in the school building, they shouldn't be seen or heard. When it comes to replacement of these items, again, students are bringing these items at their own risk. Obviously, we will make sure that people aren't, stealing items off of people's possession. We'll make sure that that doesn't happen. But oftentimes, because students are working and moving throughout the building, and things are getting left, things are getting lost or misplaced. School isn't responsible for replacing those items. We will obviously help facilitate any reports that need to be completed. But again, our school isn't responsible for the lost items or the damage to those items. So I want to make sure that families understand that. And then finally, in terms of wrapping up the policy, when it comes to receiving phone calls or communicating at home, we know you want to communicate with your children. There are safety issues, there are distraction issues when it comes to those pieces. So all communication should happen through the school. You could always reach our school at our regular number, 410-396-9300. You could also reach any of your administrators or teachers. Their phone numbers have been shared. I'll give you my cell phone number again. It's 443-413-3941. You could also reach us via email. We'll always be responsive if there is something that needs to be communicated to your child. And by that same token, if your child needs to communicate something home, they will have full access to being able to get in touch with you. So that's really, the policy. I think before, we think about the impact, it's really important just to know what the policy is to make sure that there's clarity. If you have any questions about this policy, any of the policies that I just mentioned around phones and devices, technology, it's really important that you go ahead and reach out to a grade level administrator or a teacher or myself, and we will make sure that we share that with you. One of the biggest policies that I wanted to make sure I underscore doesn't have to do with carrying devices. It's around the use of these devices, whether it's a laptop at home, whether it's a cell phone. Our students, many of them seem to be using social media. And in some cases, I'm just going to be very frank, there are age requirements on these social media apps, I guess they would be called. There are age requirements, and there are age requirements for a reason. Most of these that I mentioned earlier, the age requirement is 13, so anyone 13 and under shouldn't be on these specific applications and using that type of social media. And the reason is that in some cases it's just maturity level. There's a lot that gets lost in understanding, lost in translation. Oftentimes we often hear students saying, "Oh, I was just playing," and then you talk to the other student and they weren't playing. And you could see both sides, but I think that's exactly why there are restrictions in place. So I would really, let families know those age restrictions are there for a reason, and we should be making sure that those are upheld in the use of these things by our students. I think the other thing, though, is when we talk about physical harassment or physical bullying, we know that that's not allowed here at school. I want to make sure all families know that that same policy applies to the cyber world, and harassment and bullying would fall under the classification of cyberbullying, and students are responsible for anything that they're doing that's inappropriate, and they can get consequences, and these are things that we have to take seriously. I wish we didn't have to, and that's where, this is kind of my personal plea to everyone. And again, I understand that not everyone's going to agree with me, but I have to share with you, there is a huge impact in classrooms. And when I see students upset, when I see them crying, when I see them shut down because of things that aren't happening at school, but that are being posted on social media, it creates a problem, and it's a disruption. And we want to be able to focus on those things that are going to move our students from Commodore to college, whether it's a math lesson, a reading lesson, a science lesson, whatever it is. That's where the focus should be, and we're finding increasingly that our students aren't able to concentrate because there are things that are lingering based on the use of social media and the fact that they've either been targeted or people are just having fun. I would really ask everyone to have conversations with their children, because these are things that can hurt. These are things that have an incredible impact, and even when students are saying that they can handle it, what we're finding is they cannot handle it. And this is where I'm asking you for some help, all of our families and all of our community. We are doing everything we can. We're learning better ways to address these pieces. But this is something I've been in Baltimore City as an educator for 21 years, and it wasn't like this in 1997. We didn't have these issues. I don't even think I was carrying a cell phone at that point yet. So I'm just asking everyone to really rethink how devices are being used and how we're educating our children and giving them guidance and support, and how we're monitoring it as well. If you have any questions, let us know and we can help support you. But that's what brings me the biggest pause, is when as families we don't know what's happening on these devices. We have to teach them how to use it responsibly, no question. You're also going to be hearing me kind of push some things. This can be pushed out. There's a national movement right now in our nation around wait till 8th. That movement is essentially the right time to begin moving towards the use of these devices in the manner that many of them are using them for social media. It's really until 8th grade. So again, I would encourage us to really rethink how we're using these devices, what students have access to. It's not that I want to go back to the 1960s where these things didn't exist. I recognize that we have to learn how to use these things responsibly, but we also have to understand our students are still young. When I see 3rd grade students coming into school already in a bad mood because they're looking at their phone and seeing what's posted about them, I just want you to understand, yes, this is a frustrating thing for myself and my staff, because now we have to address that, and families get upset. But even if you pull that all aside, think about the hurt or the feelings that are being impacted, and those students are only 7 or 8. It has a huge impact. And again, I'm asking all of us to kind of come together and understand, obviously, the policy, but also our individual roles in helping to make sure that our students stay safe, and that our students stay happy and filled with joy, and that when there are concerns or problems, we can address them in an appropriate manner. And that really is, the brunt of the message. I have a whole lot more to say. If you want to talk to me individually, I'm happy to engage in this. As you all know, I'm a parent. I have 3 children here, Adam, Charlie, and Ruby. None of them have devices. We are holding strong, hopefully until high school, maybe till 8th grade. But for me, I haven't been able to see the value of using it other than for school purposes at the age level that they're at. So again, look forward to continued conversation. We are going to try to schedule programming around this and offer parent workshops, but I appreciate you understanding this struggle that I'm sharing with you. Commodore is a great community. In many ways, we're no different from how what other schools are facing. What is different is that we always tend to rise and meet challenges head on, and we always end up better on the other side of that. And I think with increased conversation about this and awareness, I think our students are going to be in a better situation. So I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate everyone taking this message to heart, and I look forward to continued conversations. I'm going to close out with what's ahead. I'm excited. There's only 2 things that are ahead. First thing is spring break. That is happening April 15th. That's this coming Monday. We'll be out of school until Monday, April 22nd. The first day back is Tuesday, April 23rd. I hope you all enjoy that time with your children and have a great time away from school and enjoy the Easter holiday. And then the last piece is that very quickly after that, 1 week away from that, Wednesday, May 1st, will be School Picture Day. At School Picture Day, we will take both group pictures, class pictures, as well as individual pictures. So I look forward to everyone participating in that. That is a fundraiser for the school. And more importantly, I hope everyone enjoys this weather, enjoys the break. And as always, I thank you all for your support. As always, remember, we do this work to move our students from Commodore to college 100% for 100%. I'll see you next time.